Hello and welcome to our latest video installment for TurboQSA features and updates. I'm really excited to show you one of the features of the application, peer reviews. Peer reviews are a required part of every assessment. Most QSA companies reserve several days at the end of the assessment cycle for another QSA to review the entire report and provide suggestions for updates. This process can be lengthy and difficult to manage, especially when an assessment is under a tight deadline. TurboQSA transforms this process and makes it much easier for the assigned peer reviewer to remain far more engaged in the project as it moves along. While not required, spending 5 to 10 minutes per day looking what has changed throughout that day in the report and providing comments and suggestions allows your peer reviewer to become far more knowledgeable and involved in the project. This ultimately will result in higher quality peer reviews and better outcomes for your customers. Let's have a look in TurboQSA and I will show you how all of this works. Okay, so here we are in TurboQSA. There's really one area I need to show you before we get into peer reviews in order to properly tee this up. So this project right here, peer review test, we've got quite a few fictitious responses in here, so this is going to be pretty easy to demonstrate the process. So let's start by going into that project. Now the thing that I wanted to point out before we really get started is that you need to be sure you have somebody assigned to the project as a peer reviewer, and generally speaking that somebody needs to be a QSA per the council requirements. So to confirm that and sort of figure out who's who in your project, or to add or assign people from your company to a project, you're going to go here to manage participants. Okay, these participants are your QSAs down this left side, and you can assign or unassign them to the project that you're inside of. So again, we're inside this project peer review test. As you can see, we have a client engagement manager that we could assign. We have an associate QSA that is assigned. We have a lead QSA that is assigned. And we have a secondary QSA that is assigned. And then we have a QSA, a third QSA assigned. And as you can see, it says reviewer. So I wanted to make sure that we had one. Had we not, I could have picked any of these QSAs and selected the box reviewer and assigned them. All right, so in this case we do have one. His login is CCQSA3. So with that in mind, let's go ahead and log in as the reviewer. Okay, CCQSA3. It's the first time I've logged in this window, so I have to accept. All right, perfect. So there's our project. As you can see, I'm obviously only assigned as this QSA to these two projects, not whatever that third one was. So I'm going to go in here, and there's a real easy way. So you're looking at this and you're like, wow, what do I need to peer review? Well, you know, the one thing that I really wanted to convey in this video was, you know, as I mentioned in the introduction, most companies wait till the end of the assessment and then hand off the assessment to a peer reviewer. And it might take them a day if they're really quick, a couple days if they're a little more thorough. It could take up to a week if it's a complicated project. That's a week at time. That other QSA is not working on an assessment that he's got. It's also a week that he's got to get ramped up on the specifics of the project. As you know, they're all different, right? And it really just isn't the most efficient way to go about things. You can do it the same way with TurboQSA if you really want to, but I think the more preferred way is to have your peer reviewer check in with the changes either on a daily or a weekly basis, and it's really easy to do. So I've logged in as a peer reviewer. I'm going to click on this little filter button right here. Okay, and I just want to see the stuff that's ready for peer review, stuff that's changed today or this week that I'm happen to be looking at, and that's it. And so at this point, there I have items that, as you can tell from these charts, I have items, 3 ready, 1 ready, 11 ready for peer review, that I need to go in and have a look at and be sure I agree with. So in this case, let's go ahead and take a look in findings and observations. And let's say in this area, make it simple, area 9.7, I have 2 that are ready for peer review. So I'm going to go ahead and click on in there. And as you can see, there's a badge here that says ready for peer review. And in this particular case, most likely because this assessment is set up as a P2PE assessment, and or a SAC 2 or a SAC A type assessment. In other words, they're still ROC assessments, but they're based on the fact that their retail payment channel is point-to-point encryption and their e-commerce payment channel is maybe a full redirect to something like Stripe or PayPal. So both of these items are not required based on that. So, if I agree with that, then peer reviewing is simply a matter of clicking the thumbs up and it's approved. And the workflow states that it's approved. All right. So in this case, also not applicable. I'm going to go ahead and click approved as well. So in that case, we are good to go on that particular requirement from a peer review perspective. Let's take a look at one where there's almost certainly some sort of responses out there where we'll need to confirm that they're in place. Okay. My guess is 12.1 has got something. So in this case, they've marked it as in place. I'm probably not ready to make a decision on whether or not I agree with that until I review some of what led to it. So identifying a documented security policy. They've uploaded this policy. They claim that it starts on page 1 or that it's on page 1. I could download it right here, review it, be sure that I agree with it. But the fact that they put it here and we're just doing a demo, I'm going to say all is well. I'm going to approve this. All right. And then I'm going to come down here and I notice describe the information, how the information security policy was verified to be published and disseminated to. So I've read this response here and maybe I don't agree with everything that they've put in this response. So in this case, I'm going to say, I'm not good with this. Let's put a reason here. The response is written in Latin. I do not understand. Obviously, it's not going to be something like that. Being a little bit silly here. But you get the idea. So when I click submit on this, what's going to happen is it's going to say changes requested. Okay. When your QSA logs back in, he can go to that filter icon as well, and he can set, show me where my peer reviewer has requested changes, okay? And just those items will show up, and he can go in and make the adjustments necessary, which will then put it back in the peer review queue, and the next time your peer reviewer comes in, he'll be able to make a final determination and hopefully an approval on it. So that's really how it works. That's all I really wanted to show you on this. If you have any questions, let me know. But in the meantime, thanks for watching. Thanks so much for spending the time with me today to become more familiar with the features of TurboQSA. As always, we are here to help. Please reach out to sales@turboqsa.com or call us at 877-277-5275. If you have any questions about what you've seen today or you'd like additional information on how TurboQSA can transform your PCI business, we're here waiting to help. We appreciate you watching, and I hope your day is filled with many compliant test results.